So what's up? It's Jarkko here. Time to get started with my fitness account finally. And I'm gonna get straight to the business here because today's topic is my €1,000 bet with my brother about if he could do 3,000 meters in 12 minutes with 6 months of training. And this bet already happened, but I just want to go through what I thought beforehand. Is it possible in general to do it in 6 months, get to that level of performance in running, which is I'm sure more of the interest of the viewer. Like, can you get to that level that fast? And then obviously I wanna establish that the bet was a real thing. So what you see in the screen is my conversation with my brother. It's in Finnish, obviously, so you can't understand it. But he's asking he's saying that he's heavy right now, but in summer he will be in 3K shape. We're talking about Cooper test, which is the 12-minute running test, where 3,000 meters is generally considered elite fitness, or at least for normie people, it's elite fitness. Obviously, if you're an athlete in an endurance-based sport, then 3K is basically just a baseline, just a kind of bare minimum. But if you're a normal person, 3K in 12 minutes, excellent performance. So it's not just like a completely freebie, especially like at an older age. Like, okay, if you're 20 years old and train regularly, you should be able to do that. But we're both in our mid 30s, so it's not as automatic. But yeah, so I said, I immediately like that's BS. Like, I'm gonna bet 1,000 that you won't be in 3K shape. And then he's like, I just need to be under 90 kilos and I'll be in 3K shape. Okay, let's bet 10,000. And I'm like, okay, locked in. What's the date? I ask, and he says 10th of August. So this happened already a couple of months ago. So I know already what happened. But I'm gonna keep you under suspense for a while. Anyway, he corrects it to 2024, obviously. So yeah, that's the bet. So that bet really happened. And another, he made a video about his weight loss journey here. Let's just watch it quickly because to establish that this bet is a real thing. So weight loss journey for the Cooper test. So again, he can't, my brother has Edison Stadayo in YouTube.
This is your boy Edison joining you with another quick video. I hope you're doing so great. In this video we're gonna take a look how my weight loss journey is going. 0.6 kilos was my weight then, and last measurement is 14th of June, 101.
Yeah, so you can see it's like a very heavy starting weight for him, which is the reason I felt so confident to bet immediately against him.
2 kilos, and I've lost 7.4 kilos there. Here is also the important card what I very romantically got all the way to 100 days. So it's 100-day diet. It seems with my prediction we're gonna hit 96 kilos 79th day.
So yeah, when it comes to weight loss, the progress is not linear at all. So usually you lose weight very fast in the beginning because you lose fluid levels and everything like that. And obviously the easiest kilos to lose are right in the beginning. So he ended up racing at about 100 kilos. So he didn't end up at the 96 kilo mark where his linear line ends up. So the weight loss slows down unless your diet keeps getting stricter and stricter over time. Then you might be able to keep a consistent pace. But this was months long diet, so it's psychologically very grueling. But I'm not here to just really talk about just the weight loss. Let's talk about in general first, like about the 3K, how possible it is for the average runner. I have also this. I asked about the bet from the ChatGPT. It's a nice little bonus to throw in. Let's see what ChatGPT thinks. It's an ambitious goal, but certainly possible, depending on where he's starting and his level of commitment. Running 3,000 requires average pace of 4 minutes a kilometer, which is a decent challenge, especially if carrying extra weight. key progressive training mix. He could. He thinks 3000 meter could be within reach within 6 months of focused effort. In short, a good bet, a challenging but achievable, and it will give him a solid fitness target to aim for. So I'd say in general, if you're a young healthy man, 3000 in 6 months is actually not like a problem at all. Especially if you're like just focusing on endurance training. When I was in the military at age 19, I didn't like do any structured kind of training. It was just a training that we did in the garrison, morning runs and stuff like that. And I basically went from 2,700 meter Cooper to 3,000 meter Cooper in like about 4 month period, without any like specific training. But it's I'm 19 years old. It's like it's not the same thing when you're 19 to when you're 35. Like my brother was this summer, like that was his 35th birthday, the race day. So okay, that's one thing. If you're young, the younger you are, the easier it will be. But when it comes to talking about like guy his age, I did achieve finally get back to that shape at like much bigger body weight and much stronger, and I just completely shed on my old fitness level like last year when I achieved the 3000 meter 12-minute time again. And basically the method had again been no specific training, but I had been running every day, a little bit every day for a year straight, so I had a lot of time to work in my favor. So yeah, I don't think it's a problem for any young man who like really sets a structured training, long run every week, a hard run every week, and enough mileage on top of that on other days. But you don't need to go even crazy. You don't need to do any crazy volume either. So it's like 6 months is enough time to make it actually very feasible goal. But in my brother's case, I thought like it's impossible at first, as he's at least 20 kilos overweight, or was at the time, and his training pattern had been kind of sporadic, so it's like you risk an overuse injury if you just go from zero running to whatever volume you need to go, like maybe 30-40 kilometers a week. Even to that level, you have to kind of build up, because I've injured myself with a very low volume when I was starting out, but your body can handle over 100 kilometers a week, but you gotta build up to it over time slowly. So yeah, it's pretty basic. I thought it was impossible for him. That's why I so confidently bet so much money, like €1,000. For some people it's not a lot of money, but for me definitely it's a lot of money. So I basically deemed it as 100% bet at first, but then I started thinking about it over the weeks, and I realized that there is a way of doing it. Like the thing about my training is that I never train just the one thing. I'm always doing both lifting, running, and also doing fight training too. Fight training has at least some synergy with running, but in general speaking, I'm not just training running ever. So the fact that it took me a year to get to 3,000 meter level, it's not really indicative of how fast it could be done if you just put all your resources into this one target. So because like I said, I have multiple targets that I'm working towards. There's a primary target, of course, for every training phase, but there's always multiple targets that I'm striving towards. So when I started thinking about it, like, okay, it is actually possible. Like, okay, you're starting at like 106 kilos of weight, and you do need to get to about 90. Like, the heavier you are, the more you're just carrying extra weight, and it's just gonna slow you down. That being said, I do want to like kind of experiment with a weight vest and see how much the extra weight actually slows you down, because I don't think it's linear. I don't think it's like you're 10% heavier and you're gonna be 10% slower. I think it's like maybe you're 5% slower only. I don't think it's linear, but it has to be like, I have to experiment that. I don't know right now. Either way, the weight was there to be lost, and 16 kilos ish, whatever. it's a lot of weight to lose in 6 months. See, that's the problem with it. Like, okay, it's in theory possible, but you have to balance like training kind of a lot, but needing to eat super tight to lose that 2-3 kilos a month, and so you're gonna increase your injury risk, but just you have to be like in a depleted state constantly while you train hard. So I figured like that there's a few possible outcomes. Like, one is that he doesn't train hard enough to actually achieve his goal. So he kind of falls short because he couldn't put enough mileage in. He couldn't put enough hard sessions in. Second possible outcome is that he does train hard enough, but then just gets injured somewhere along the way. And 6 months, while a long time, it's not long enough that you can take a few weeks off while nursing an injury. But yeah, I think in a perfect world, perfect execution, it would have been even doable for my brother, despite his overweight, despite his age, despite his relative lack of running before the challenge. I think in hindsight it would have been possible to do. But let's talk about like what then actually happened, like, because there is also the psychological aspect. It's like, it's actually like I said, you don't need to do a crazy volume, you don't need to do that crazy training, but like, you do need to be very consistent. You need to keep a reasonably high level of training the whole time, especially when you have so much weight to compensate like my brother had. So you do need to be like very dialed in for 6 months straight. That's what I think, and that psychologically like wears you down, like, especially if you're not to start with like always dialed in. Like, okay, there's different, the people are different. Some people can handle the being dialed in all the time, but I don't think most people can just shift to gear where they just go from, being their normal lazy self and then just get completely dialed in, and like, everything around their life can be around this one goal. So yeah, I don't think that's like very, very feasible, and I think that's kind of what happened to him. So he didn't even like. First of all, there was some degree of arrogance. I think he didn't start training immediately. He didn't start losing weight. Oh, like, okay, I can kind of like, it kind of makes sense for the first 2 months, like, not to even train that hard. Like, you just train lightly to build the foundation for the rest of the 6 months, and you just go really tight on the diet. Like, you really lose like 3-4 kilos a month for a couple of months. Like he was talking about losing kilo per week in the video, and that's great, but you can't really sustain that while you're training really hard. I mean, it's just so front loading those week kilo per week, and then getting to like high 90s maybe when it's April, and then losing the rest of the weight while training in a more moderate calorie deficit. That would have been a very feasible thing, and that would have also allowed the gradual build of the volume. I don't know if that would have been like fast enough build up of the volume, but I kind of like feel like you can do a lot in 3 months if you're really like training frequently hard and getting your miles in. You can get a lot done for sure. But on the other hand, at the 35, you just have to accept that the stuff takes time. I mean, any age training always takes time, but like, especially when you're a little bit older, which is I don't think he understood because he's done 3,000 many times in his life, but always in his 20s, not in his 30s, and I don't think he understood that there is a little bit of a difference there. But so there was that arrogance. He didn't get to training right away, and he didn't lose weight. Like, he didn't at least get to tight diet. He actually gained more weight, and then you got to that weight loss journey video, which started like 3 months out. Like, you already wasted the first couple of months, so we kind of got robbed of really finding out how far he could have gotten if he actually trained the whole 6 months. So what instead we got was 3 months training, and I don't think his training was very like intelligent. Like, he was basically just going fatigue over stimulus kind of training. Like, I always talk about, like, there is fatigue. Like, when you're training, you're accruing fatigue, but you're trying to like get stimulus. So obviously you want as much stimulus as you can with as little fatigue as possible. But there is like a natural tendency that we all have, I've noticed in myself too, to kind of train for the fatigue, because you feel the fatigue, so you feel like you're doing something productive. But sometimes you just end up getting a lot of fatigue for a little stimulus. So what would be like the perfect way to train? Like a lot of slow runs, a lot of slow mileage, and then specific training where you're doing like the race pace running, like 4-minute kilometers fast, either as long as you can, or like short bursts of really fast running, so that you build up the top speed. There's plenty of guides on how to do running training online, and I'm not the foremost expert on doing that, but yeah, I mean, the training needed to be specific. Training needed to be like, you needed to be getting everything out of the training that you could, rather than like just throwing shit on the wall. Like he kind of went with that approach. He was kind of doing like mid pace runs, where it's like very hard and fast paced runs for him, but it's not quite fast enough to be 3K in 12 minutes kind of pace. So it's kind of falls in that between, where you accrue a lot of fatigue, but it's not a very specific stimulus. So yeah, I mean, finally he did the run in August, and as you would predictably, like, no, he didn't see. That's another problem that he didn't do specific race practice. So the 3K run, it's kind of challenging when it comes to the pacing of like, you need to know what you're doing. You need to know the feeling of the 4-minute pace. So if you've not practiced, you gotta practice specifically for it. So I think what he should have done is, like, every week he should have done training where he hits either exactly 4-minute kilometers, or maybe a little bit faster, or slightly lower, like 4 or 5 or something, and he just does that, like, feels that, gets used to that pace, knowing how it feels, knowing how fast it is, knowing in his body what that pace feels like, so that on the race day he knows to set the pace right, because you only have one chance to do it right. You only have to do the race once at the end, so you need to be specifically practicing for it, and I think that's also like a no-brainer. But he didn't do that. I don't think he did, or if he did any fast-paced runs, he didn't really talk about it to me. So I don't. Maybe he did. I don't know. But he obviously, like, on the race day, he completely failed the pacing of the run. So he started really fast. Like, he started probably 3,500 meter pace for the first 2 laps, and then he's just completely gassed out. So we don't even know how high he could have gotten. He ended up getting 2,600 ish, maybe a little over, something like that, and obviously far away from the target. But so he lost the bet. He didn't really even find out, like, could he have had any chance if he actually practiced for the thing? Could he have had any chance if he actually trained 6 months for it? But yeah, now I'm just waiting for him to pay off the bet. I don't. He actually had money, and he was like showing off his money too. But for whatever reason, he figured spending that money would kind of be better for him than paying off his debt. Anyway, I digress. I'll keep you guys updated if he ever pays off the debt. So yeah, I hope you learned something from this video. He obviously started crying that he was drunk when he made the bet, which is okay, fair enough. But he had 6 months of time to say that, like I said, I was also like feeling like a little regret about the bet when I started thinking about it. It's like, okay, well, maybe I was like overly confident myself. Like, I wasn't drunk, but like maybe I was overly confident when I made the bet. Like, should you take it back because you realize you felt overconfident? I don't know, but we could have cancelled it. 6 months is enough time to talk about cancelling it, but in the end, neither brought it up, and obviously he made a genuine attempt to get in it. It's only afterwards that he decided that he was too drunk to be making such a bet. I don't know. but yeah, I mean, I hope you figure like. So I guess in conclusion, I think it is possible for any young man. It's quite easy actually for a young man, especially if that's your only training target. And if you're older, overweight, not untrained, okay, then it gets a little trickier. But you know, if you don't have any artificial time constraint of doing it in 6 months, and I would recommend just train a little bit more patiently. Do it in 9 months. Do it in 12 months, like I did. I did it in 12 months while doing strength training as my primary target. So it's certainly doable if that's your primary training target in 12 months. From even if you're kind of out of shape. Obviously, if you are like really overweight that you can't even like run. As like this final tip, I think cross training is something that you need to be doing. Do cardio in other forms than just running, because you know your body can only handle so much running, especially in the beginning. You can do maybe 20 kilometers a week, and that's it. So don't do any more than that. Do cross training. Do biking, swimming, boxing. You know, anything that you can to get that heart rate up. Work your heart in many ways, and you will improve faster than you would be with just running. And don't neglect lifting. I don't think lifting is like a huge important thing there, but like you do a couple of lifting sessions a week too. Since I presume most of you are not gonna become like marathon runners, so you want to have like a holistic fitness approach. So you know, cover all the bases. Yeah, I think I've got everything said that there was to be said. So let me know what you think. Do you think the bet was like a dumb thing to do? And obviously it worked out for me. I mean, it kind of didn't work out because I would have paid off the debt, but he didn't. He decided that I'm just not gonna pay, which means I ended up in a situation where I could only lose. But yeah, I mean, you know, what do you think about the challenge? Do you think it is feasible for more? Like I think there are out there, like in the comments, there's more experienced runners than me. Like I do 10K in just barely under 42 minutes. So I'm not like the best runner in the around. So you know, more running specific guys. But I mean, like I said, all the searching I did on the topic kind of like pointed to the same direction, that it is possible. And my initial skepticism towards that was wrong, so to speak. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and drop a comment. Oh, and like and subscribe, of course. It's a new channel, so need to get started building a following.